Good morning, everyone. Today is the 25th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre. The world remembers Chinese freedom fighters massacred while advocating for their rights, dignity, and respect that all people deserve. Such a very, very sad day. And through the miracle of communication, we were able to sadly see what was happening. We saw students and workers from all backgrounds who had marched on Tiananmen Square, and they still live on in our efforts to promote human rights and freedom throughout the world. Here in Congress, we have the ongoing, continuing saga of trickle-down economics versus middle-class economics. Republicans continue to bring bad bills to the floor based on a bad budget, bills in a budget built on trickle-down for the special interest, paid for by hollowing out the future of hardworking American families. Commerce Justice State bill that was finished yesterday, the Republican Commerce Justice and Science bill slashes state and local enforcement assistance by $325 million below the 2015 level. $325 million below the 2015 level by eliminating funding for hiring programs for COPS, the Community-Oriented Policing Services. This hiring program would have helped hire about 1,300 more new law enforcement professionals. It underfunds the violence against women, the prevention and prosecution by nearly $20 million beneath the president's request, and slashes vital juvenile programs by almost 30% below the 2015 level. Again, trickle down, tax cuts for the rich, and now how do we offset that by making cuts in initiatives that help people? Today, we're continuing the consideration of THUD, Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development Bill. For years, Democrats and Republicans have worked together to invest in safe, modern, job-creating infrastructure. And that's what America needs to succeed in the 21st century. We know that. We've always worked together. It has not been partisan until recent years. This week, however, Republicans are advancing this Transportation HUD bill, that otherwise known as THUD, and that is really what it hits the floor with. Cuts funding for Amtrak by $250 million below FY 2015 and $1.3 billion below the president's budget request. And slashes the Tiger grants, which funds highways, transit, passenger rail, and port investments by 80% below the 2015 level. These are all investments in the infrastructure of America. We call on our Republican colleagues, let us work together on a long-term plan to avert the expiration of the Highway Trust Fund, a crisis that has now shifted into the middle of the summer construction season, endangering thousands of vital construction programs throughout the country, threatening nearly 700,000 good-paying jobs, construction jobs. And Republicans have, we've been talking, how long have we been talking about this highway bill? Since 2011, when the Republicans came into the majority, they have not held a single Ways and Means Committee hearing on financing a highway bill. And now we're weeks away. Well, we've kicked the can down the road to July 31st. And we still haven't had, and with all the good intentions, and hopefully we can work together for a robust highway bill. But there has to be a funding mechanism, and the Republicans haven't held a single hearing in that regard. Infrastructure, investing in the infrastructure and highway legislation is really important for commerce. It's important for safety. It's important for quality of life, getting people out of their cars by having a mass transit, but also having roads and bridges and highways that facilitate mobility. And it's about clean air. It's about competitiveness for the country. It has everything going on. And it immediately creates jobs and continues to create jobs well into the future. It's really unfortunate, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that the Speaker and I can work together, recognizing the urgency is there, understanding the tradition of bipartisanship, indeed nonpartisanship, that has always existed in this. And this bipartisanship extends beyond Congress and throughout the country. Governors, mayors, county supervisors, and the rest are all asking for us to get this done, and we can do it, and we have to do it soon. Another deadline that is fast approaching is the Ex-Im Bank charter, which expires June 30th, 12 legislative days from now. This Ex-Im Bank has sustained more than 160,000 export-related American jobs last year. It created or sustained 1.5 million private sector jobs since 2007, and it does this at no cost to the taxpayer. This pays for itself, if not makes money. So I hope that we can work in a bipartisan way. Again, I know that there are members of the Republican Party who share our view, or we share theirs. We join together in that, and the frustration of why can't we move this bill. So support for renewing it is bipartisan. We just want to vote. We hope that that will be soon. These are two opportunities, highway infrastructure, et cetera, and Ex-Im, that are job creating, where we can work together to create jobs and strengthen the economy. Working families are really tired of the endless manufactured crises that the Republicans come up with, threatening national security, weakening our economy, and costing our country jobs. It's long past time for Congress to act in a responsible way on these initiatives. And by the way, this afternoon, we'll go to the White House, where the orange is significant because we have the World Series champion San Francisco Giants being honored by the President of the United States there, if there are any sports fans here. As soon as that ceremony is over, some will be boarding planes, not I, but some will be boarding planes to go to see the Warriors compete for the O'Brien Trophy. Any questions? Yes, sir.
The House is approaching votes on trade, and as you know, the President does not want changes to the Senate bill because it would require it to go back to the Senate. Can you support that TPA bill as it came over from the Senate?
Well, let's go back to your first point. The House is fast approaching. Do you know something I don't know? When is this going to happen? I suppose when they have the votes, and we'll see when that is. We have really had a very, I believe, internally respectful process going forward, where we have invited the administration on a regular basis to address different categories in the bill, and in some cases, different countries in the partnership, the Pacific Trans Partnership, the PTT. The vote, but there'll be two votes, as you know. One eventually, when the bill is negotiated and people see what actually the final product is, and that's months away. But a vote that is closer in time, but I don't know how near, is the PTA, and we're in the process of finishing our drilling down on certain issues and countries to see how we can do better. And the PTA. There are other issues, too, in the TAA, the Trade Adjustment Act, that we need to pass in a better way than pass the Senate. So they sent over two bills joined at would you say the hip or the shoulder or joined. And we are saying that we have many objections to the TPA, but the TAA bill is a non-starter in terms of how it is paid for. Yes, sir. And then
how many?
Chad,
Former General David Petraeus said last night that we are losing the war in Iraq. Talking about old issues that have been going on forever. How do you see it?
Well, General Petraeus had the responsibility to train the troops in Iraq. I remember going over there on any number of occasions and hearing from him on some of them that he had trained 175,000 Iraqi troops and personnel so that they can take over their own effort. So I would I would ask him about that. I think that the number was far smaller than was represented to us. Yes, sir.
Madam Leader, how many votes have you told Speaker Boehner he is going to have to deliver from his side of the aisle to get TPA across the finish line?
200.
So 17 is, the 17 declared Democrats are the only ones that you think he...
No,
that the
I
president-
don't know, but I think that 200 is what it should come up with. They have 246 or 245, whatever the number is. They have over 245 votes. I think they picked up another one the other day, or is that person sworn in yet? And in any event, they have over 245 votes. They need 218. They probably have, as you said, a dozen and a half on the Democratic side so far. I don't know where everybody is. And 200, Speaker should be able to deliver 200 votes. The awesome power of the Speaker. I know of what I speak. But maybe there'll be more Democrat. I don't know. I don't think that, I don't know why they want this so much. They have the majority, why there's even any question that they can deliver their vote. But you have to speak to him. 200. That would be a good round number. Little safe number, safety in numbers, in case somebody doesn't show up that day, you know. Okay? Yes, sir?
Leader Pelosi?
You mentioned some issues with TAA and the pay for us. From a dollar amount, that's a relatively small issue. Can you kind of go into detail about what the pay for, what your objections are to the pay for us?
The pay for that the Senate had came out of Medicare, so I have an objection to that. And you're right to point out that the money that is set aside for the Trade Adjustment Act to help those workers in those communities that have been hurt by a trade, it's under $1 billion. It's several $100 million. A small price to pay. Really, we should be doing much more. But nonetheless, it must be paid for, and we don't like where they've taken the pay for. But I'm hopeful that working together in a bipartisan way, that we can come up with a better pay for so that we can have that bill pass, so that we can move on to the taking up of the TPA. And I don't know where the votes are on that. But put this in perspective. We're asking for a better pay for so that the same communities that we're trying to help in terms of trade adjustment are not hurt by taking the money out of Medicare. We think that's really a bad choice. At the same time, this Congress in recent time has, weeks ago, maybe a couple months, has passed legislation. You've heard me say this before. I think it bears repeating. Over $260 billion in tax cuts. That's over $250 billion in tax cuts for the 5,400 wealthiest families in America. Unpaid for. 5,400 wealthiest families get a tax cut of over $1 trillion unpaid for. Certainly, we can afford a few $100 million, not billion, $100 million to help communities or workers who are affected by the trade adjustment. It has to be paid for. Let's find the pay for. Let's not take it at a place that hurts the very people that we're trying to help. I just have time for one more question because I think the speaker will be here in a minute.
Passing the president's trade bill, do you feel that you have responsibility for passing the president's trade bill,
Absolutely.
or is it the speaker's?
It's absolute speaker's responsibility. It's where the support exists in his caucus. He has the majority, and it's his responsibility. And every time we had a bill that came to the floor when I was speaker, you said it was a test of my leadership. It's a test of his. I have confidence in him. I think he can deliver 200 of his members, but it's not my responsibility. Okay?
I
Yes?
just wanted to follow up on that just quickly. 14 Senate Democrats supported this, and that's 32% of Senate Democrats.
Yeah.
Why can't 32% of House Democrats get behind something that the president wants so badly?
I don't think we have time to go into all of that because the speaker's coming here right now. But we do not set our agenda, the Senate, as a standard for our where we are on a bill. Members are taking this very, very seriously. We have many members who are not supporting this, who have over time always supported trade initiatives that just don't think that this reaches the standard that we need to go forward with 11 different kinds of countries. But you'd have to ask them individually because these are individual votes. And I can't tell you why some are one place or some are another, but I can tell you that it is a very large number in our caucus that is not supportive of it. And again, if we were to use the Senate standard, then we would hope that they would use our standard from time to time. But we're two separate bodies, and that's the beauty of it. And we respect those differences and respect each person's vote. But you'd have to go back to the origins of our country when they decided that each state would have 2 votes in the Senate, and that the House would be divided by population. And maybe you could compare those numbers to population rather than House to Senate, because it doesn't have any parity. In any event, it's a lively debate. It's a refreshing debate. It's substantive, and it's an opportunity to do something great in terms of our presence in the global economy. If it doesn't meet the standard that we've all put forth, which is to increase the paycheck of American workers, and that means lifting the working conditions and wages of workers in other countries. Otherwise, we're driving down the paychecks of American workers. But putting that aside and going back to what is on the floor now, which are these bills, which are cutting into initiatives that help America's working families, protect the American people, grow the economy. Instead, we are giving tax breaks at the high end and to special interest rather than addressing the needs of the people's interest, all of which will bring a return to the Treasury and to our economy. Thank you all very much. Go Giants. Go Giants.
He's in Boston.
We still have
That
a
make you
team.
sad when you go down there? Not seeing
A
him?
team. We all go by the name on the front of the jersey, Giants.